All right, sorry for the delay, everyone. We had little technical difficulties, but finish up what you was speaking on about your job.
Just as far as this, just you know, you have student athletes from the inner city, and kids get scholarships. You gotta take advantage of it. They have to go to school and be student athletes, not just go to school play ball. You got the kids that bounce from they're 19 and already been at 3 different schools. Those things, not to discredit anybody. Everybody can bounce around school, but you must get that paper. You must get that piece of paper showing that when you try to get a job or you try to do something, you're going to be able to. You have some validity to it. You have some validity to it. You're just not, because it's hard to try to compete with somebody straight out of school and you're straight up the street. So definitely try to, implant that in my student athlete's mind. Like, listen, you can take this talent and do something with yourself, and when you become 25, 30, you appreciate it more. You're like, you know what? Coach didn't just rod me to rod me. Coach didn't just yell at me to yell at me. Coach really cared about me in the future, my future. And those things matter.
Is that something that you might want to implement in Gersh Park in the future, as far as helping the youth and helping the kids, or kids tournament?
Well, as far as the adults, we definitely have a stranglehold on the adults. We always sit at the table and think about what should we implement. Should we implement teenagers? Should we implement the kids? Should we implement females? We had a women's All-Star game this year.
How did that go?
Oh well, it was a great turnout to be. When you sit at the table with people to brainstorm this, to have a brainchild put together, and the turnout becomes more than what's expected. So it was definitely a great turnout. Definitely you got to see a lot of women talent.
Okay.
Girls that can really play really good basketball. So we think about that as far as Gersh Park, to enhance it and take on a bigger burden, to add another league. Just that we want to make sure we have that hold on the adults, that we could branch off into doing something else. Because we definitely, even if we don't have a kids tournament, we definitely cater to the kids. We'll give the kids stuff, free stuff all day. We'll be able to give some way, somehow to the kids until it's implemented into the scheme of things.
Yeah, that's very important. That's very important. Always giving back, helping the community, because that's what it's all about.
Yes.
At the end of the day. So tell me about Gersh Park fans, because I was here last night. I see how they go crazy. They're very engaged. Tell me about them.
Oh well, one thing about Gersh Park fans, I could say, I go to different places. They don't interact with players. Gersh, they know the players. If you can't make a layup, they know you can't make a layup. They know you don't go left. They know you don't go left. And the fans are so knowledgeable of the players. They have their favorite players and they watch them. So when you have your coaches doing, matchups and schemes, the crowd already knows what's going on. They already know what players which players is which, and those things matter. And that's what makes the park the park. That's what makes Gersh, a big deal, because fans know so much. Fans know, and fans will tell you if they feel you're producing, or if you're just coming in with a name. So if you just have a name, they're just like, oh, this person is supposed to be good, or he plays here, he plays there. If you can't make a layup, or you're shooting air balls, or you can't defend, you will definitely get exposed. So the fans definitely have their favorites, and like everything in life, and they know. So you definitely got to bring your game, not your name.
That's very interesting, yeah. Because last night I seen the crowd, I seen how they were screaming, I seen the energy. It felt like it was in an NBA arena. I was like, wow, never been nowhere and seen the crowd interact like that.
It's funny because, speaking of crowds, Brownsville came with half of their community, from Mother Gaston all the way down to Strauss in the park. The funny thing is, you have a big crowd like, Sleep City had a big crowd like that. But the funny thing is, they chanted defense, like they were in a college arena. Yeah. It's funny because, that's how engaged the crowd is. You got some tournaments, people aren't even engaged. People are texting, people doing whatever they want to do. Some people taking pictures. Gersh people really watching the game. You got people inside making calls for the refs. And those things could be positive and negative, but the good thing is they're engaged in the game. They're in tune. You know, they expect the player to perform. Their star player, they're behind their star player all the way. And, you know, that's a good thing.
Okay. So, you know, I was about to say, before we, like, close out this interview, like, what do you want to say to everyone? How do you, as the season is, you know, come to an end, how do you feel about, what do you want to tell people about the future of Gersh Park?
Basically, you know, just to the fans, just to the staff. First, the fans. You know, all the fans, spectators, photographers, anybody that made the trip to East New York, Brooklyn, that texts me, you know, what train comes here, what bus comes to the park. You know, it's no parking spot. Anybody got a ticket for double parking, you know, it's unfortunate, but, you know, we appreciate that. And we thank you, because without the fans, it's nothing. Without the fans, it's nothing. And those fans come to this park, you know, religiously, you know, come in peace. They come respect what's going on. And we appreciate that. And, you know, I appreciate that. And that's what drives us as a staff, drives us as a community to be better. You know, when you have people that come there and respect what you do, you know, that say thank you. You know, people don't say thank you to their own family. They come to the park and say thank you. Those things matter. And, you know, that'll never be undermined or overlooked by anyone, especially not me. And, you know, I definitely want to tell the fans thank you. You know, all the players, you know, 200 plus players that came through the park, that participated. You know, thank you, because, you know, we're only trying to get better. We're only trying to get better. And, you know, as far as the staff, you know, like Ty said on the mic, the hardest working, shout out to the hardest working staff. You know, I could be a prick, I could be on their backs, sending texts, emails, and they don't respond in time. I'm on their back. You know, thank you, because, you know, without y'all, none of this can be done. You know, without the teamwork, none of this can be done. You know, without the due diligence outside of the end product. You know, without people going to do different things, you know, when asked, those things matter. And you know, I'm appreciative of that. And as a commissioner, that's what makes things work. You know, I just don't roll out of bed and just say, okay, yeah, this is going to be this way. No, we got to make sure we brainstorm to make things work. You know, and for the fans, everybody, you know, we appreciate you. Gersh Park appreciates you. If you ever follow us on Instagram, on @Gersh Park, on Twitter @Gersh Park. My Twitter, DP_Gersh Park. My Instagram, @InGershWeTrust _DP. Those things, you know, those things matter. And if you believe in us, we believe in you. And if you believe in us, we will produce. You know, we will produce. And the biggest thing is just thank you. And if I forgot anybody or missed anything, you can comment on this YouTube, or you can comment on this interview, and we'll make a part 2. You know, y'all want a part 2, just let us know, and we'll make it happen.
Okay. One more question before we leave.
Copy.
If somebody would ask you that don't know nothing about, never been to Gersh Park, and they ask you, what is Gersh Park? What would you tell them?
Gersh Park is like the veins to some people. It's the vein, it's the blood that runs through the veins of some of the people out here. It's the lifeline to a lot of people. You look in this park, drive around this park with this community from here to September. It's nothing. This is the lifeline to some people. To come into this empty park, it's like, you know, it's just amazing to see how it could go from 5,000 people to empty. So this is like, you know, you know, like I said, a lifeline to people. And that's Gersh Park. You know, you would think you would hear somebody never been to Gersh Park. It's Gersh Park like. This is, you know, some people's oxygen. And the funny thing is, people can say what they want to say. If you put hours in Gersh Park like a job, people are here from the first game to the last game like a job. You care about it. So that's what I'll definitely say. It's like a lifeline. It's like the veins in someone's arms. That's what Gersh Park is like.
Okay. Well, you know, thank you, DP. And thank the Gersh Park staff and everyone that participated this year. And made East New York Memorial Classics what it is. Y'all definitely, I could say from my view from last night, if not the best, definitely one of the best tournaments in the city.
Oh man, just like I was reading on someone's Instagram, you know, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And I don't care what people say, numbers don't lie. And if we could pack 5,000 in a spot, let me know where it's done at. Let me know where it's done at. Let me know where you're jamming in 5,000 people nightly, 3,000 people nightly. When you have the entire task force out here, and it's still peace. No police, still peace. You know, community after community, still peace. Still love. Arguments, people still hugging, showing respect to each other. Tell me where it's done at. You know.
I know I said this, this interview is over, but you made me, something popped in my head when you said that. Because I was thinking, I see things happening around the city, in Brooklyn, crime rate or whatever. Have y'all ever had any incidents in Gersh Park?
No incidents. Knock on wood, thank God. We have never had any incidents. The only hindrance when it comes to meetings and sitting with people, anything happens around Gersh Park, they tag it to Gersh Park. So we'll have a game, the game is over. It'll be like this. It'll be silent, and then something will happen, and say, oh, it happened at Gersh, and this happened 5 hours later. So, but that's a part of dealing with greatness. You want to strive for greatness, you want to be great, you want to do things great, negativity will come. Some way, somehow, some form, some fashion. People are trying to say, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, or this happened there. No, but nothing per se is happening in the park. There's arguments everywhere, there's disagreements everywhere, but that next time we see each other, then it's all love. It's all, it'll be two handshakes, two hands shaking like men, So that's the big thing. Because around the city, they glorify violence. God forbid if it were something that's happening in the park, it'll make the daily news. That's a fact. It'll make the post. That's definitely a fact. But the positiveness that goes on from June 20th to August 14th will never make it to the news. Never make it in the newspaper. And that's a fact. Because they thrive on negativity. They thrive on to publicize the negativity. Which is not the wrong thing, it's just that's how they're conditioned to do. If they were conditioned to show all the positive stuff, people wouldn't watch it probably. People want to see the shootings and the negativity. But we'll continue to sustain what was built to show people that no, we could put 5,000 people, all races, all nationalities in the park, and everything is good. Everything is smooth and copacetic. That's what we could do. That's a guarantee.
Okay. Well, I know you got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. It's definitely been a pleasure talking to you. You seem like a very educated and business-oriented man. And let me know why Gersh Park is successful as it is, and it's going to be in the future.
Hope so.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Have a good night.
Over and out.
All right.